Happy Tuesday and good afternoon. Welcome to The Upside on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Tebogo Lekhuleni with you and Mmatsheko Mosito on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in on this glorious Tuesday afternoon. This is indeed The Upside, your gateway to the good life, where all conversations concerning Africa matter, and we are on them. We are live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. And if you have DSTV, it's channel 802, OpenView channel 628. Don't forget to download that SABC Plus app so you can take us with you wherever you go on your Android or iOS device. Good afternoon to you, Mmatsheko Mosito. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. How was your day? Or your morning?
Productive morning. Got busy. I exercised a bit on the treadmill. It's been a routine now. I'm proud of myself. What did you get up to?
Listen, I am on a very sacred journey that I'm very happy about, but also got to pick up some new titles. Well, I mean, not new, but I'm revisiting some books because that's just part of my life. You know, reading books, you see. So I'm rereading Wangari Maathai's Africa, Your Time Is Now. Actually, her bio, Unbowed. I read the African essays a few months ago. So I'm rereading her bio. I am rereading Mother of Malawi, and I am rereading certain chapters of Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now.
Listen, spot on the theme of today, which we're covering literacy, a bit of literacy, literature and film. Today on The Upside, our first conversation will be about something I know nothing about. We are talking iTips versus microlinks.
What is that?
It has something to do with hair extensions. I have no idea what it means. We'll have an expert unpack it for us. Do you know what iTips and microlinks are?
Listen, let me tell you, if it involves glue, I don't know anything. Anything to do with glue, if it's got anything to do with that, I most likely don't know.
All right, and then we get into conversation with actor Rob van Vuuren about a movie that's set in the backdrop of Zimbabwe. Well, back then it was colonial Rhodesia. It's called Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight. We'll unpack it for you later. It's told through the narrative of a young child, a young Caucasian white child, British young child born in Zimbabwe. And during the Rhodesian Bush War, it talks about racial tensions. It talks about the family dynamics. It's quite the story to unpack. And Rob van Vuuren will be joining us to tell us a bit more about that. And then we are having breakfast with Mugabe. Later on today, we'll be getting into conversation with the 2025 Standard Bank Young Artist for Theatre, Kelvin Ratladi, about this theatre production called Breakfast with Mugabe. It features one of my favorite actors, Themba Ndaba. I'm excited about that one. And then our final story, he's really brilliant. Then our final story, we honor Umamkhoni Chweme, with a first of its kind Khoni Chweme International Youth Film Festival that took place a couple of days ago, not too long ago. And we'll be unpacking, reliving what this youth festival would have meant to her and her spirit and advocacy for driving storytelling on the African continent through the voice of the youth.
Yep, because an artist doesn't die. An artist multiplies. So it's going to be very exciting. I think for anyone that's ever been to the Sibigwe Arts Center that's in Benoni, and if you haven't, please check it out. A lot of really amazing youth-led, youth-inspired projects are happening there. So it doesn't matter where you're from on the African continent. If you're based in South Africa, go and check out that space. But yes, we are going to be looking at a wonderful international festival to honor a great legend. 11 minutes past 1 p.m. is the time right now. Thank you for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. You can stream us live audio-visually on YouTube as well as Facebook. Welcome to The Upside.
The Morning Switch Weekend with the Shy Guy.
Matuka Wanji Nonse, Zukani, the Shy Guy, a Morning Switch.
Have you ever listened to a song and then it gives you goosebumps? Cause it takes you way back in the 80s. My goodness. Yay. Woo. Hey, baby. You hear Yvonne Chaga Chaga there. I wanna talk to the DJ. And then the DJ goes like, hey, baby, I've got you on the other side. Huh? There were no WhatsApps then, right? There were no sliding in the DMs at the time. Oh, man.
Your weekend mornings are activated with the Shy Guy on the Morning Switch. Africa in business on Channel Africa.
The president of the Arab Bank for Economic Development Africa, Badea, Dr. Sidi Ould Tah, he is vying for the presidency of the African Development Bank, the AFDB. He positions himself as a fervent defender of economic integration and structural transformation on the African continent.
So I do believe that I have a 360 view of the development challenges in the continent with my experience from both the supply side and the demand side. But more importantly, my vision is to bring on board all the stakeholders and to have a holistic approach for the development of the continent and to develop partnership across the continent and outside the continent, bringing all the stakeholders together to work for one goal is to make Africa green for life and livelihood of the African population.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Hello there, my name is Mmatsheko Mosito and I am contributing as co-host on a show called The Upside here on Channel Africa. We are in your company wherever you are on the African region between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. in Central African time.
Hey guys, Tebogo Lekhuleni here from the Upside team on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Join us every single weekday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central African time for the ultimate afternoon drive show.
Bringing you lifestyle, news and views and opinion, most importantly, because that matters always, hey? So catch us on air. I, of course, work with the wonderful Tebogo Lekhuleni and we are very happy to be here, so join us. Hello there, my name is Mmatsheko Mosito and I am contributing as co-host on a show called The Upside here on Channel Africa. We are in your company wherever you are on the African region between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. in Central African time.
Hey guys, Tebogo Lekhuleni here from the Upside team on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Join us every single weekday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central African time for the ultimate afternoon drive show.
Bringing you lifestyle, news and views and opinion, most importantly, because that matters always, hey? So catch us on air. I, of course, work with the wonderful Tebogo Lekhuleni and we are very happy to be here, so join us. Hello there, my name is Mmatsheko Mosito and I am contributing as co-host on a show called The Upside here on Channel Africa. We are in your company wherever you are on the African region between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. in Central African time.
Hey guys, Tebogo Lekhuleni here from the Upside team on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Join us every single weekday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central African time for the ultimate afternoon drive show.
Bringing you lifestyle, news and views and opinion, most importantly, because that matters always, hey? So catch us on air. I, of course, work with the wonderful Tebogo Lekhuleni and we are very happy to be here, so join us. Hello there, my name is Mmatsheko Mosito and I am contributing as co-host on a show called The Upside here on Channel Africa. We are in your company wherever you are on the of the song. Thank you for joining us. The Upside with Mmatsheko and Tebogo, or Tebogo and Mmatsheko. Listen, we can remix. You can remix it however you see fit. We are in your company, in your living room, in your car, in your workspace, wherever you are. We're grateful to be there with you until 4 p.m. in Central African time. So we are going to be in a masterclass about hair extensions today. All right? And we want to take you with us on this journey. Listen, I think, let's just be a good sport. Even if you're a guy, like Tebogo, and hair extensions are not your thing because you've got your own hair and you're a guy. Okay.
But apparently guys also do that, which is very interesting.
It is very interesting. But I think for the purposes of this conversation, you need to be in this masterclass, Tebogo, because first of all, it's free of charge. So you're very blessed. And secondly, one day when you, if you haven't already put a ring on it, you're going to need to know these things because you're going to have to pay for them.
Who's paying?
You're going to have to pay for them.
Oh, I'm paying for them.
You're going to have to pay for them. So
very interesting.
You need to know the difference between eye-tips and micro-links. That's what we're talking about today. Do you have any idea what that is?
That sounds like something on Microsoft, like you'll get it on a
It
computer.
does sound like technology.
It's like an app. It doesn't sound like... So these... Okay, explain to me then. Eye tips, they're both hair extensions, right? From what I gather. They're both forms of hair extensions.
We're here to learn. We're all here to learn. I promise you,
Yes.
I don't know much about extension, anything on the hair. I mean, I'm just, I just wear my synthetic braids or wear my own hair or no hair at all. But as I understand it, apparently hair extensions are not made equally.
Okay.
All so
right.
there are others that are a little bit more sort of you've got to clip them in, and others and also it depends on how long you want the hair to last, how long you want the hair extension to last.
All right.
So they're not all made equally for different reasons, and it depends on what the occasion is. If it's a holiday, you might need the hair in a little bit longer. If you like the glueless thing, because these look like glueless options by the looks of things, then perhaps this is for you. But listen, Tebogo and I are clueless about hair extensions, but that's why we've crafted this masterclass. So if you really love hair or are interested in seeing how you can, best look your best as we get into a new season in the next month or two, this is a good time to prepare for that. So we're going to get into a masterclass and really look at the difference between eye tips and micro links and what that is. And I promise you, in less than 10 minutes, you will know the difference and you will know exactly what to do.
Yeah, we'll be getting into conversation with Rita Sitlova. She's a fancy clothes model, to tell us a bit more about these micro links and eye tips. But guaranteed by
done.
by 1:30 Central African time, you'll know a bit more about these two hair extensions, and then decide which one you prefer to go for, because apparently they enhance more and embrace more natural looking hair, which I'm all for. But it's 20 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. We have that conversation right after this.
In this episode of Channel Africa Conversations, Peter talks to Dr. Thulisile Buddha, an academic, author, and an expert in indigenous knowledge systems. Join us for a compelling discussion on preserving African languages and traditions in the digital era. Dr. Thulisile unpacks the role of educators, explorers, and how technologies like AI can support cultural preservation, and challenges us to rethink how we honor African heritage. You can find the episode on YouTube, SABC Plus, and on our website, channelafrica.co.za. This episode is a must-listen for educators, creators, and change makers across the continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
Ok. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African perspective. The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It is 22 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. This is indeed The Upside on Channel Africa with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. We get ready now to have our first conversation about micro and iTips. Micro links versus iTips. What do these actually mean? Personally, I don't know. So I've asked the producers, I've asked Mmatsheko to help me with this intro. It's going to sound like I know what I'm talking about. Here we go. They are stylish, seamless, and seriously transformative. But if you're thinking about micro-link or iTip hair extensions, don't book that install just yet. From salon jargon to maintenance myths, there's a lot they don't tell you up front. Today on The Upside, we break it down. No fluff, just facts. Whether you're a first-timer or hair extension pro, this is everything you need to know before committing to one of the hottest hair techniques on the market. And to help us unpack exactly what micro links and iTips are, we are in conversation now with Rita Sidlova, a fancy clothes model. Rita, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside.
Thank you so much for having me.
Rita, let's get into the basics. What are micro link extensions? What are iTip extensions for those who are very new to the concept, like me and Mmatsheko? Please break it down for us.
Not a problem. So what we have here are 3 different types, right? With micro links, this is what they look like. And these are usually for people who just want to add some volume and length to their hair. And these are only in leave out hair. There's no other hairstyling tips that you can do. And with these installed with this and these beads right here, hopefully you can see. And these are easily maintainable to everyone, and it's only in leave out hair. With micro loops, this is what they look like. And these are able to put into your braids, your cornrows, your freehand cornrows, and even styles like this. And you can also use this on leave out hair. This is very versatile, and this is very, very easy to maintain as well.
They actually really look pretty. I'm just looking at you, and you've got some of the extensions in your hair, and it really, really looks gorgeous. I'm just thinking, I'm looking at you, obviously, you're the model, and you've obviously also just demonstrated what they look like. Does the health of my hair affect which, or rather influence which of the extensions to choose? So if my hair is a little bit thinner, and I want to extend it, will I use iTips versus micro links? And if I've got a more voluminous head of hair and I'm just looking for extra length, for example. So how does the health of my hair influence which one to pick?
Okay. With this, I think it depends more so on your hair type. Is your hair a little more coilier than usual? Is it like 4C or 4B? And that will determine which type of hair you would like. So this It's more 4C type hair, and these are easily maintainable. You can install these into your hair. This is both for length and for volume. So these would be, the micro links would be a better use for your hair.
Just looking at those extensions, they offer somewhat of a natural looking hair. Why do you think, Rita, we're seeing more and more African women moving away from the wigs and the weaves and going more for these extensions to make it look a bit more natural?
I would like to think that more African women are moving more to these extensions because the maintenance versus the wigs is a lot better. The wigs are more maintenance than these type of extensions, and these also mimic our hair type. So these are human hair as well. So these are easier to blend with our own hair.
Okay, so we've gotten the maintenance. It sounds like it's more maintainable as a hairstyle. Can we talk about the cost? Because we want to look gorgeous, but we don't want to break the bank while we do it. So what are we looking like when it comes to the price points between the two, the I-tips and micro links?
Okay, in general, these are quite expensive when you first install them. But the nicer thing about them is that they're reusable. So this is a huge investment. The first time you do put them on and install them, they are expensive. But and what I like about them, these are both human hair, right? So you can use these again and again and again. And then with these, because they're versatile, the hairstyle that you do can change with these. With these, the hairstyle can't change because these are micro links. These are just linked into your hair, and this is for volume and length.
Okay.
Rita, let's talk about durability. How long do these last? Because you mentioned they're a bit pricey, and I would imagine if it is an investment, you want to have this piece of hair with you for quite a long time. How long do they last?
Yeah. These from the micro links from the first installation, these can last you up to 3 months just from the first installation. And then with the micro loops, this just depends on the type of hairstyle that you did. Obviously, with freehand cornrows, your cornrows do tend to get old, so you would need to just undo those cornrows, and you can reapply these onto those cornrows again.
Very interesting. Perhaps something to try out if you've got a special occasion by the sounds of things. If you want to, yeah, actually, maybe that's the question. When do I wear these? Do I need to go to a wedding? Do I need to, can I wear them every single day? You know, when?
Every single day. That's how easy they are to maintain, and how, even though this is human hair, so this is not synthetic, so this lasts you quite some time, so you don't have to worry about it getting old quickly or tangling too much and you can't untangle them. So these are perfect for everyday wear. Perfect for everyday wear.
Oh,
Okay.
I love that. Rita, thank you so much for introducing us to this very hot extension is what it is. Very new to us in studio. We are not familiar, but thank you so much for breaking it down for us. And if we want to follow you on social media, perhaps get more tips, where can we find you?
You can find the brand Fancy Claws on Instagram and TikTok, and you can find myself, Rita_Silova, on Instagram and TikTok.
Love it. Rita Silova, the Fancy Claws model, telling us and explaining the difference between K-tips, I-tips, micro links, extensions. I told you that at 1:30, you'll know a bit more about it. And the guys also know that you must budget for them. You don't just wake up and say, I'm going to buy hair.
Didn't I just
micro.
say? Didn't I say?
Yeah, it's 30 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's head on over to Musibudi Makura for sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. A very good afternoon from the sports desk. Dr. Desiree Ellis, the head coach of the South African women's national football team, says they have to be on top of their game to secure a victory against Nigeria in the first WAFCON semi-final tonight. So Banyana coming to this clash looking to keep their title defense alive, with the Super Falcons of Nigeria continuing to pursue their 10th championship title. Speaking ahead of the match, Ellis says that at this point, past results don't mean anything as they look to take a bold approach into tonight's encounter.
But I think past results don't really mean anything because it's a different tournament. It's 3 years down the line. It's a different tournament. It's a different coach. Some new players as well. But it's the same Nigeria. The quality that they have. They've always had the quality. So we have to be on top of our game. To make sure that we get over the hurdle. They're the only country that has defended back-to-back on numerous occasions, and it would be big for our country. If we could do that.
Now, Banyana have had to travel to Casablanca, where Nigeria have played most of their matches during this year's competition. Ellis says changing stadiums does come with a slight disadvantage, but believes his team, or rather her team, will put in some work and ensure that they win this title at all odds.
Look, that's obviously an advantage. Not moving, not being disrupted, playing in the same stadium. But I think the mere fact that it's such a big game and the magnitude of the game is a semi-final, I think that will play a huge role, and mentally it will play a huge role of how important the game is. We recovered, immediately after the game. I had to travel the next day, and then we are for the session. So it's all guns blazing tomorrow.
Right, so the game kicks off at 6 p.m. Central African time tonight in the first semi-final of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament, and then at 9 p.m. Central African time, the host nation Morocco will face off with the Black Queens of Ghana. Now, the Confederation of African Football's General Secretary Vernon Mosengo Omba has given preparations for the Total Energies Nations Championship Chan tournament a thumbs up, with about 2 weeks left to go at this year's competition. So this competition being co-hosted by Kenya, Tanzania as well as Uganda. Mosengo Omba is visiting Kenya as well as Tanzania to meet with local organising committee of the kickoff on the 2nd of August. This at the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium. So Nairobi's Kasarani Stadium has undergone major renovations thanks to the investment of the Kenyan government. Will host the final match of this year's competition on the 30th of August. In addition to the closing ceremony at Kasarani Stadium, Kenya will also host all Group A matches at both the Kasarani as well as the 9 national stadiums. Mosengo Omba is set to visit Tanzania today. On to some tennis news now. World number 2 Carlos Alcaraz, the 5-time Grand Slam singles champion, has withdrawn from next week's ATP Canadian Open in Toronto to recover from Wimbledon. The 22-year-old Spaniard lost to top-ranked seeded player and the world number 1 Jannik Sinner in the Wimbledon final earlier on this month in a bid for a 3rd consecutive crown in the Grass Court Classic. Now, Alcaraz had his best Canada run back in 2023, falling to American Tommy Paul in the quarterfinals. The tournament director Carl Hell says although there has been on the scene for quite some time, he's still at the beginning of his career and there is still plenty of opportunities for Canadians to see him again in the future. So the American, meanwhile, Sebastian Korda, the world number 33, struggling with a leg injury, as well as Poland's 38th ranked Hurbe Hurkacz fighting a knee injury, have also withdrawn at this year's competition. And finally, 7-time Grand Slam winner Venus Williams has celebrated victory in the last 16 of the women's doubles at the Washington Open after 16 months away from tennis. The 45-year-old former world number 1 who accepted a wild card for this year's tournament has not competed since the Miami Open in March of 2024 and has lost one at the Cincinnati Open in August of 2023. So Williams, as well as fellow American Hailey Baptiste, beat England's Eugene Bocard as well as Clevie Nogugu 6-love and 6-1. Williams, who was also playing doubles for the first time in 3 years, joked that she wished she could have partnered with 23-year-old Baptiste and the world number 50 instead of her sister Serena Williams, a 23-time Grand Slam champion. So Venus, who does not have a ranking, won 14 major titles alongside Serena in the women's doubles as the Williams sisters dominated the sport for many years. And that concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, simply send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
It's 36 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's say good afternoon now to Buntle Headbush, who has business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Tebogo, and a very good afternoon to our listeners. In our top business story at this hour, Nigeria's economy is 30% bigger than previously estimated. This follows a changing of the way that the country's gross domestic product is calculated, as it now also incorporates new sectors in its calculations. Nigeria's National Bureau of Statistics says the country's new GDP now stands at $243 billion in 2024 compared to the International Monetary Fund's $187.6 billion forecast after the base year for its calculations was shifted to 2019. The World Bank and the Mozambican government have pledged to invest in generating an additional 15,000 megawatts of electricity for the region. The announcement comes as energy producer Kahora Basa revealed during a media tour in Tete province that it's facing serious challenges, chief among them aging equipment and outdated infrastructure, which continue to hinder efficient power supply. Mozambique's President Daniel Chapo calls for the World Bank and its partners to invest in the country's energy grid.
As I very well said to the President of the World Bank and other partners of the World Bank Group who can come and invest in this whole energy grid that we are talking about, producing energy through hydroelectric power stations, solar power stations, gas power stations, and also wind power stations.
Almost $4 million has been spent by South Africa to import foot and mouth disease vaccines for this financial year. This was revealed during the Foot and Mouth Disease Indaba, currently underway in Roodeplaat, Pretoria, South Africa. Experts in the farming community, researchers and government officials at the Indaba are currently mulling over ways the country can start manufacturing its own vaccines on a bigger scale and at a reasonable price. Most provinces are currently battling with cases of the animal disease, and South Africa has had to rely on countries such as Botswana for vaccines. Director of Animal Health at the Department of Agriculture, Dr. Mpho Maja, says locally manufactured vaccines would cut costs.
135,000 doses actually that we had received already. We have administered them all. So our vaccination program has been quite comprehensive, and we have managed to administer all the doses of vaccines that we received. A big portion of those went to where the FMD outbreak was most prevalent, which was at the Karan beef site that we visited in Heidelberg.
Multinational holding company Ibex Investments, formerly known as Steinhoff International, has sold its entire 28% stake in South Africa's clothing retailer Pepkor for $1.5 billion via an accelerated book-building process. The company offered about 1 billion shares worth approximately $1.6 billion. Steinhoff changed its name to Ibex in 2023 following accounting fraud by the company, which led to a stream of lawsuits and hefty losses. A tanker chartered by energy major BP has left a port run by newly sanctioned Indian refiner Nayara Energy without loading. According to LSEG shipping data, the vessel Talara was supposed to load 60,000 metric tons of ultra-low sulfur diesel on the 21st of July at Nayara's Vadina port in western India, with the cargo bound for Africa, Nosipo Zuma reports.
The change in loading plan suggests that EU sanctions imposed on Nayara on Friday are disrupting refined product exports from the Russia-backed refiner, one of the two private fuel exporters in India. The Talara did not load the cargo after the EU imposed the sanctions. The sanctions package against Russia over its war in Ukraine is aimed at dealing further blows to Russia's oil and energy industry. BP subsequently released the ship, making it available for charter within India or the Middle East region.
And now for a look at the indicators. $1 Nigeria is trading at 1,530 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 30. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shillings 71, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha and 8. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 57. Russia, 78 rubles 44. In India, it's 86 rupees 14. China, 7 yuan 17. And South Africa, $1 is trading at 16 rand 67 cents. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,387 and platinum at $1,458 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $68.70 a barrel. And those are your business news. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 1174 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Buntle Headbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Stella Longwe. Pamalonje.
Palitu soko mapano pamalonje. Kumvera nyimbo za mu Africa kusangalala, kupeza moyo, akuti kumva moyo kuti kuyenda bwino pano pamalonje. Ndiyetu apa tili ndikatswiri oyimba ameneyu ndikatswiri wa dziko la Malawi amene akukhala mdziko la South Africa, ndipo amayimba amene akuti ndi Big Nick Malawi. Yatusati kuti kodi moyo wanu woyimba ukuyenda bwanji mu Johannesburg?
Moyo woyimba ukuyenda bwinobwino kwambiri, chiliyonse chikutheka ndithu bwinobwino.
Ayi aziwoneka chiliyonse chikutheka mofa magrasi anu apa mwaka akuti kumenya yonse aziwoneka zoti azikutheka ndithu mu Johannesburg.
Malonje panthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo. Lowiruka ndi Stella Longwe. Channel Africa, your voice, your sound, and your home. Stay locked right here. And that voice is Channel Africa. It keeps you in motion, speaking, singing, questioning, rising. Wake up with Rise and Shine 6 till 9. Peter and Asanda as they bring you breaking news, sharp analysis, and the voices that shape the day. At mid-morning, we get on the move with Palisa and Benjamin, digging into the African lifestyle, people, and the things that make Africa smile. 12 till 1, Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, getting in-depth, powerful stories, and the perspective you won't hear anywhere else. The Upside, 1 till 4, live and real, with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Nompumelelo Ngubeni. Tame Ngubeni talks money, Africa in business, 4 till 5 p.m. 5 till 6, we put on a little bit more color. Vue d'Afrique with Joël Moteba. We go to East and Central Africa and find Darubinia Africa with I Am Shakif. Madapiri gives us some life. Zochi Tika, 7 till 8 p.m. Maria Mokumalo comes in 8 till 9. We get some useful knowledge. Kalodiscopia. 9 till 10. We take a look in Africa and beyond. Africa World Hour with Sipiso Makwetla. And we close it up with some love. The Hotlines with Shailen Dikumana. 10 till 12 p.m. on Channel Africa. Across borders, across time zones. On air, online. This is Channel Africa.
Hey guys, so it's about 30 minutes before we have to go onto the show and go live, and we're just having our own little briefing session with the team. We've got our producer in the background, Unsako. We've got my amazing co-host, Mmatsheko Mosito.
Also, I'm not amazing.
We've got Unsako that side. And we just, just getting our ducks in a row for the show. Once we go live, there's no turning back. Make mistakes, we make them on air, but we try our best to prepare and ensure that we don't do that when we go on. And when we do, and we laugh about it, guys, we're only human. But this is how it looks like when we're just getting ready for the show. Enjoy. Here we go. Mix. Let's go. Come on. Let the creative juices flow.
The tree, what's at the bottom of it?
The root.
Thank you. If I'm not excited, like I'm just sitting around, I have nothing to do.
Bored.
Thank you. If it's not mist, it's
mist.
Mist. If it's not mist in the morning, you can't see the road. It's like a cloud.
Bright and early in the morning.
Like
sometimes your brain experiences.
It rhymes with dog.
Fog.
Thank you. I don't know this one.
This one, guys. Hi, guys. Come on.
What is this? When I'm doing this, thank
shooting.
you. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're so
funny.
Thank you.
Alright.
Nice and easy, clean. Don't forget what caught your eye at 22.
Yes.
And then we're good.
Fantastic.
23, madam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go. Coming to you all the way from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa, this glorious Thursday afternoon. Thank you so much for tuning in. We
because for anyone that's followed kind of like traditional folkloric sounds from Togo, you will remember Bella Bello. She is in the same league as Miriam Makeba from South Africa, in the same league as Angelique Kidjo from Benin. And so that was Bella Bello, a really just a beautiful feminine from Togo. So I think it's such a beautiful honor for Paki Chenzu to actually honor Bella Bello in his music in this manner. Millions Boy, the title of the song, coming to. This is us chasing 2 p.m. We're about 12 minutes away from the top of the hour.
Listen, that song, it reminded me of Kwaku the Traveler by Black Sharif. Do you know that song?
Hum it, sing it, drum it, something.
The Traveler.
Oh, okay, I hear that.
It had a similar tonality, flow to it, and maybe our technical director, they can find that song so people can compare. Like she say, hey, actually, that song does sound similar.
Who did it better?
Do you know, or did you know, that we have been using and allocating our salaries to the wrong things?
That's highly possible.
Let me tell you why. Because the word salary comes from the Latin term salarium, meaning salt money. In ancient Rome, soldiers were occasionally given a stipend specifically to buy salt, a precious resource at the time, vital for preserving food. So the term salary, it's actually not, it later on became a general term that we use for when you work, you then get paid. But in actual fact, it originated as salt money. Soldiers were given this money, specifically a stipend, to buy salt so that they can preserve food at the time, because they didn't have fridges and the things that we have today. So that's where the word salary comes from.
That's an interesting and very fun fact. But I think much like the evolution of remuneration and salary, as we call it these days, the word and also what it's meant to do has also evolved over time. So,
100%,
yeah,
100%.
Interesting to note.
It's 10 minutes before 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's take a quick breather on the other side. Some music.
The Morning Switch Weekend with the Shy Guy.
Mwadzuka bwanji nonse Zukani, the Shy Guy, a Morning Switch.
Have you ever listened to a song and then it gives you goosebumps? Because it takes you way back in the 80s. My goodness. Yay. Hey, baby. You hear Yvonne Chaka Chaka there. I wanna talk to the DJ. And then the DJ goes like, hey baby, I've got you on the other side. Huh? There were no WhatsApps then, right? There were no sliding in the TMs at the time. Oh man.
Your weekend mornings are activated with the Shy Guy on the Morning Switch.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
Ok. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and of course if you have DSTV it's 802 OpenView channel 628. Download the SABC Plus app so you can take us with you wherever you go. Good afternoon to you, Mmatsheko. How are you doing this afternoon?
My dearest, I am happy that you got the memo that this show is wearing black today. Our social media specialist is wearing black.
Excellent.
Our madam producer is in black. You are in black. I'm in black. I love it for us.
Black.
All black.
We actually need to do a photo shoot.
And actually, a group photo.
A
Yeah.
group photo.
With black elephant. Hello there, my name is Mmatsheko Mosito and I am contributing as co-host on a show called The Upside here on Channel Africa. We are in your company wherever you are on the African region between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. in Central African time.
Hey guys, Tebogo Lekhuleni here from the Upside team on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Join us every single weekday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central African time for the ultimate afternoon drive show.
Bringing you lifestyle, news and views and opinion, most importantly, because that matters always, hey? So catch us on air. I, of course, work with the wonderful Tebogo Lekhuleni, and we are very happy to be here, so join us.
Africa has a voice, and that voice is Channel Africa. It keeps you in motion, speaking, singing, questioning, rising. Wake up with Rise and Shine 6 till 9. Peter and Asanda as they bring you breaking news, sharp analysis, and the voices that shape the day. At mid-morning, we get on the move with Palisa and Benjamin, digging into the African lifestyle, people, and the things that make Africa smile. 12 till 1, Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, getting in-depth, powerful stories, and the perspective you won't hear anywhere else. The Upside, 1 till 4, live and real, with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Tamengo Bene talks money, Africa in business, 4 till 5 p.m., 5 till 6. We put on a little bit more color.
Black Sharif there. Coming to you on the Upside on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday. And thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon on the Upside. We're coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Tell you what, I'm excited to share what caught my eye in the next hour, because I think it's a very relevant conversation, especially on the African continent.
We cannot Let's just switch my mic on. We cannot wait to find out the story, because you did drop some hints off air that it's a trending matter,
100%.
but also one of importance, I think, also just for people of all ages, really just so important. So I can't wait to hear what you've got to share. I've got what caught your eye as well, as we acknowledge the birth anniversary of a legend. Listen, I wanted to give you 10 points for something. Because we just played that Kwaku the Traveller song.
Yes.
And your humming of it was really on point. I'm really proud of you.
Oh.
You're a horrible singer. Absolutely horrible. But you nailed this one. Well done. 10 points.
You have never heard me sing once.
Excuse me, you come on the show and you think it's an audition for Idols every day.
Remind me one time when I sang.
On Monday, you sang?
What did I sing?
I don't even know, because you were just...
That's humming. That's not singing.
Well, it is an attempt to sing. Humming is an attempt
I'm trying to
to
ask you
sing.
to sing for me the way I sang, so I can hear myself through your voice.
I promise you, I cannot be that bad. Even if I tried.
Listen, I'm actually a brilliant singer. I just don't want to bring it on air, because then, then I'm going to have people like Abo Randall Abrams hitting me up. It's like,
wow.
So I don't want that kind of stress in my life.
Sir.
But I will tell you this, though. In the second hour, we get into conversation, a very important conversation, because we revisit yesteryear. We go back to Rhodesia. We know it now as Zimbabwe, to revisit a tale of a young girl by the name of Bobo. Bobo Fuller, rather. And this young girl is telling the perspective, or narrating the story of her life, navigating colonial Rhodesia at the time during the Rhodesian Bush War. She's talking about the racial tension. She's talking about the family dynamics, her relationship with her dad, her mom. She's talking about the relationship that they had with the two helpers that were living with them at home, black helpers. So this is a British family, and they had black helpers on site, and the black helpers would often help or have conversations with Bobo, interact with her, and also give her some life lessons. And there she got to learn about black, white. And so this film, titled Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight, is adapted from Alexandra Fuller's acclaimed memoir. Alexandra Fuller is the lady who was born in Rhodesia, and she got to experience all of these things. And it stars Lexi Venter. Lexi Venter is now Bobo, the little girl, telling and narrating the story. A fascinating story of how she got casted, and I can't wait to share it with you. But what a story to revisit, so that it doesn't get forgotten in yesteryear. These stories need to be told.
Yep, the protagonists are very interesting. And you mentioned just some of the cast members and the story of how they got cast. Very exciting to see one of my favorites, Mr. Shilubana, on the casting role as well, which is wonderful. Really talented, a polyglot of note, and incredible with his talent. So all of that in the next hour. We're going to check in with the news desk in the next few.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko. Looking at your top stories, terrorism-related charges against renowned Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi dropped, and over 27 countries call for an immediate end to the war in Gaza. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Terrorism-related charges against renowned Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi have been dropped. However, Mwangi will now face prosecution for possession of ammunition without a valid firearm certificate. Mwangi was dramatically arrested on Saturday at his home and was initially accused by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, the DCI, of facilitating terrorist activities linked to the June 25, 2025 protests. The arrest triggered widespread public attention, with authorities claiming to have recovered items that raise national security concerns. A member of Kenya's parliament, Maxwell D. Kariuki, explains.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions dropped the terrorism charges because of the outcry. Everybody was up in arms. The people can see what the government is up to. And after so much noise, they decided to reduce the charges. Now, there is a group of protesters that were arrested after the July 7th protest. Majority of them are young people, what we call the Gen Z. Now, those boys and girls, literally kids on that one, and I don't think they will find something, but I think it's a tactic to try and intimidate Kenyans whenever they want to rise and criticize the government.
The Umkhonto's party's Lulamile Jack says there is no political will from the Government of National Unity in South Africa to fight crime and corruption. Jack, a Limpopo province convener, was speaking during a picket staged at the local High Court in support of the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi made explosive allegations of corruption and political interference in the South African Police Service 2 weeks ago. The MK party is also calling for the immediate renewal of Mkhwanazi's contract, which is due to expire soon. Jack says Mkhwanazi's courage to speak out against political meddling shows leadership that should be protected and not sidelined.
We need to pledge our solidarity to General Mkhwanazi. He is amongst the few that have exposed the sitting government into allegations of corruption. And he has given the evidence showing that there is corruption taking place, wherein senior members of government and some senior police generals are part and parcel of the corruption that is taking place.
The National Prosecuting Authority in South Africa says it will take its appeal against the acquittal of Nigerian televangelist Timothy Omotoso to the Supreme Court of Appeal. The state was dealt another blow today when its application for clarification of facts on the Omotoso judgment was dismissed by the Gqeberha High Court in the Eastern Cape province. Omotoso and his co-accused Lusanda Silani and Zukiswa Sito were facing a string of charges, including racketeering, human trafficking and rape, but were acquitted on all the charges in April in a judgment delivered by Judge Imaskuman. NPA spokesperson Mthunzi Mahaka says they will file the application to appeal within 21 days.
We will proceed to finalize the drafting of the questions of law for her to reserve them for consideration by the Supreme Court of Appeal. We will do that before the end of the week, hopefully. If necessary, we'll also prepare a condonation application to explain the delay in filing the request.
Delegates at the Startup 20 Summit currently underway in Johannesburg have raised a critical need for change within South Africa's education system. There are strong calls for general schools and universities to integrate more practical content on entrepreneurship into their curricula. This is a growing concern being voiced about the widening gap between public and private educational institutions. Startup 20 is a platform for small businesses to engage with leaders of the G20. Amongst the delegates attending the Startup 20 Summit today is Luvuyo Khani.
On the work I'm doing now on the Sub 20, which the social innovators, is to stimulate now to say that there's a need of social entrepreneurs and there's a need of university, school and high school that it has to be stimulated, but also there's a need of practical content, not a theoretical content that can be brought so that people can learn in a practical way and they can see for someone that they know it and able to. We don't have to invent anything. We've got some stories and those stories can be emulated in the classroom.
Lastly, the United Kingdom and 27 other countries have called for an immediate end to the war in Gaza, where they say the suffering of civilians has reached new depths. A joint statement says Israel's aid delivery model is dangerous and condemns what it calls the drip feeding of aid and the inhumane killing of civilians seeking food and water. Foreign Secretary David Lammy has criticized Israel's system of aid distribution.
It contradicts long-established humanitarian principles.
It creates disorder Hamas is now exploiting, with distribution points reduced from 400 to just 4. It forces desperate civilians, children among them, to scramble unsafely for the essentials of life. It's a grotesque spectacle, wrecking a terrible human cost.
Now, recapping on your top stories, terrorism-related charges against renowned Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi have been dropped. His arrest triggered widespread public attention, with authorities claiming to have recovered items that raise national security concern. Now, for any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
It is 6 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the second hour of The Upside on Channel Africa, The African Perspective with Tebogo Lekhuleni Mmatsheko Mosito. Coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Happy Tuesday. How's your day going so far? Let us know on our WhatsApp line, +276 406 9126. And while you're at it, let us know where you're streaming us from. You can stream us on our social media platforms live, see our studio, the presenters at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. If you have DSTV, it's channel 802, OpenView channel 628, and as always, you can download that SABC Plus app on your Android or your iOS device, so you can take us with you wherever you go. Important conversation coming up, lined up in this hour. We revisit Rhodesia, Mmatsheko, with a film narrated through the lens of a child, which I think is quite a nice approach. Generally, we get the elders reflecting, but a child's lens in a film, it's quite an interesting take, because the way they perceive life and how they narrate what's happening around them is very different to how an adult would go about doing it.
100%. And I think also that the timing of the story during the Rhodesian Bush War is also really interesting, that they would put a young white child to be able to be the protagonist in the story. So we're going to find out more from those in charge of the story.
100%. The film is called Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight. We'll be getting into conversation with one of the actors, Rob van Vuuren. Now, Rob van Vuuren is going to be the protagonist's dad. And he also has quite a role to fill there. And mine is to ask Rob. You remember Rob back in the days? He was very much comedian, stand-up comedian. He's taking on proper serious emotional roles lately. I wonder what the switch was for him. Do you think comedians feel like pressure to prove that, hey, I can also be an actor, like I'm more than just someone who just makes you laugh?
It depends. I think it depends on where one is in their spiritual journey. I think evolution is inevitable in any artistic discipline. So I think it's actually perhaps was a natural order for him to kind of move from just being funny to being funny and to explore different characters, in that sense. So it would be interesting to hear him tell the story of that evolution in his career.
We'll find out in a moment's time. And another film that you should look out for, or keep watching every single Sunday is Chasing the Sun, because SABC Sport brings you Chasing the Sun, a powerful 5-part documentary series about the Springboks, telling the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory in 2019. Starting 13 July at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2, tune in every Sunday for the highs, the heartache, and the heroics that made rugby history. Stream each chapter on SABC Plus anytime, anywhere. No subscription needed. Don't miss Chasing the Sun this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2. Be there when history shines.
Es-tu préoccupé par quelque chose? Es-tu passionné par les questions qui comptent? As-tu une voix qui mérite d'être entendue? Eh bien, nous avons la plateforme parfaite pour toi. Téléphone-nous ou fais-nous un WhatsApp au +27 66 408 87 42 et nous te rappellerons. Sois dans la conversation.
Salut Channel Africa, ici Beno le Diamant Rouge et Binal Export depuis le Cameroun, le pays des lions. Voilà.
Sois dans la conversation. Il ne s'agit pas seulement de parler, mais c'est ta chance d'exprimer ton point de vue, de partager tes opinions et de t'engager avec une communauté qui valorise ton avis. Suivez-nous sur les réseaux sociaux, visitez notre site www.channelafrica.co.za et préparez-vous à partager vos points de vue sur Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
For Mandela, life was about making a difference, not just living. This Mandela Day, Channel Africa honors that legacy.
It is for humanity, or for society, to decide how I should be remembered. I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying.
On Channel Africa,
The African Perspective.
The Upside. On the Upside, your voice matters. Vue d'Afrique with Joel Muteba. We go to Eastern Central Africa and find Darubinia Africa with I Am Shakif. Madapiri gives us some life. Zochitika, 7 till 8 p.m. Mariamo Kumalo comes in 8 till 9. We get some useful knowledge. Kalodiscopia, 9 till 10. We take a look in Africa and beyond. Africa World Hour with Sipiso Makwetla. And we close it up with some love. The Hotlines with Shailen Dikumana, 10 till 12 p.m. on Channel Africa. Across borders, across time zones, on air, online. This is Channel Africa.
Right, coming up after the news at 9 o'clock, we have On the Move with Palisa and Benjamin. Good morning, Palisa.
Morning, Peter. How are you?
Always fabulous. Thank you very much indeed.
Doing good. Well, let me tell you a story, Peter. If you look, in fact, just outside this window, right, you can see the street right next to us. There's a street like coming through, a residential street coming this way. Back in varsity, I went to the University of Johannesburg, the Bunting Road campus on our right, and there's the Kingsway campus on our left. A friend of mine and I went to the library. We couldn't find the book we wanted, so we walked to the Kingsway campus, to that library. Got there, found what we needed, and then walked down through this residential area. And as we were about to reach like a few meters just before the SABC here where we are, we got mugged by two guys, and we got mugged in front of a group of men doing construction in one of those residential houses. They just watched it happen, and everything happened. The guys took our phones and they ran off, got in a car, shoot. We're obviously devastated. They went on to do the work that they wanted to do. So we're speaking about, I'm telling you the story because in the first hour of the show, we're speaking about community involvement in addressing personal crises. And we're finding out the question, have you ever witnessed someone in distress and said nothing? Or you were too scared or nonchalant to intervene? So that's the conversation we're having in the first hour of today's show.
Wow. I mean, it's an interesting one. And sadly, especially gender-based violence.
Yeah.
Everybody sees it, everybody hears it, and for some reason, it's a difficult thing for people to intervene. I'm fascinated to hear about that conversation.
Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa has a voice, and that voice is Channel Africa. It keeps you in motion, speaking, singing, questioning, rising. Wake up with Rise and Shine 6 till 9. Peter and Asanda as they bring you breaking news, sharp analysis, and the voices that shape the day. At mid-morning, we get on the move with Palisa and Benjamin, digging into the African lifestyle, people, and the things that make Africa smile. 12 till 1, Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, getting in-depth, powerful stories, and the perspective you won't hear anywhere else. The Upside, 1 till 4, live
noon on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. We're coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Happy Tuesday. Where are you streaming us from? Where are you listening to us from this afternoon? Let us know anywhere on the African continent, anywhere around the world. We'd love to hear from you. Our WhatsApp line is +27 63 406 9126. It's now 17 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's get into conversation with one of South Africa's most electric performers, an award-winning actor, comedian, and storyteller whose range stretches from razor-sharp satire to raw, heartfelt drama in the powerful new film, Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight. Rob van Vuuren steps into the shoes of Tim Fuller, a man navigating loss, fatherhood, and a collapsing colonial world, all through the eyes of a daughter trying to make sense of chaos. The film, based on Alexandra Fuller's best-selling memoir and directed by Mbeth Davids, is an unflinching portrait of love, dysfunction, and identity in a changing Africa. And Rob's performance hits hard, intimate, restrained, and deeply human. And he joins us now. He's one of the country's most versatile voices in theatre and film, the one and only Rob van Vuuren. Rob, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside.
Yo, guys, that's the best introduction I've ever gotten, ever. Thank you. Thank you. Please, I hope someone recorded that, send it to me. I'm just going to play it to myself.
Listen, Rob, that was all you. All I did was just read some of the accolades. That was all you. Rob, let's talk about your career. And I actually just want to talk about your transition, your move to more dramatical performances. We know you as the funny guy. I mean, that's where we've gotten to know Rob van Vuuren. But of late, you've been taking on proper, emotional, dramatic roles. What was that switch for you? Was it intentional?
I think I've just been really fortunate over the last couple of years, particularly with my film career, just to be able to break a little bit of that stereotype of being just the funny guy.
Yeah.
You know, in my theatre work throughout, I've always done a kind of a mixture of dramatic and comedic roles. But I think, you know, obviously the comedic roles people they went a lot further, and then in terms of the TV and film I did, it was mostly comedic stuff. So that was certainly what I was known as, and I think. Yeah, so, around 2020, I just started getting more film work, and that led to more dramatic work. And there was one role in particular, that of Suez de Villiers in Netflix's Ludic, that I was cast in by Rose and Oaks, the producers of, who are also producers on Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight. And I think that role was just such an incredible gift, such a meaty part to have, and it allowed me to do a lot more than just the silly guy, which was really fun, and that's opened up a whole lot of doors for me, which I'm really grateful for.
All right. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you've just joined us, we're in conversation with Rob van Vuren, who's an actor, a comedian, a storyteller, and he's now part of the locally produced film titled Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight. And we're just really unpacking this wonderful story as written, but now on the screen. So we'll be right back.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Hawa wa Afrika Kusini wenye asili ya kizungu ambao wamepewa ukimbizi huko nchini Marekani. Je, nini chanzo cha wao kuomba ukimbizi nchini Marekani?
Wenyewe wajaomba ukimbizi. Kuna shirika fulani inaitwa AfriForum, shirika mbili za wazungu ambao wanatetea haki ya wazungu hapa, AfriForum na Solidarity. Hao walienda Marekani kufanya kampeni kusema kwamba wazungu wananyanyaswa hapa Afrika Kusini, na walivyofanya hiyo kampeni, serikali iweze kuwafuatilia kujua nini ambacho mnasema kwamba mnanyanyaswa.
Kuna namna ya wao kwamba wamepoteza uraia wa Afrika Kusini, na je, endapo Trump akamaliza muda wake madarakani, uhalali wao wa kuishi nchini Marekani ukoje?
Itakuwa vigumu, kifupi itakuwa vigumu wenyewe kupoteza uraia wao.
Darubini ya Afrika 11 kamili hadi 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Only on Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
Welcome back to Channel Africa. A wonderful thing to have you join us this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. So we are talking about a story that was set during the final days of the Rhodesian Bush War, a film that follows a young girl, a little white girl that was growing up in a very fractured family and a conflicted country, as it were. And who better to tell us than one of the storytellers in this particular film? Rob van Vuren has been casted alongside other wonderful names like Zikhona Bali, very talented. Lexi Fenter, Fumani El Shilubana is also in this particular film. And we're really talking about the story. We're talking about what it means in contemporary Africa. We're talking about the years of segregation. We're talking about the war and what the story represents as it unfolds right now. Rob, let's get straight into the story. I'm really interested to find out, just following what Tebogo asked you around your transition from comedy to tackling more serious stories, but looking at the intensity and complexity of this particular period that we're looking at when we're looking at the story. What drew you personally to the story? What made you say, I want to play a character in this particular film?
Sure. Well, first of all, the source material is incredibly strong. Alexandra Fuller's incredibly powerful memoir captures a fascinating time in Zimbabwe's history and in the transition into independence, as told from her perspective as a child at that time. And the screenplay, the adaptation that Mbeth Davids did of this memoir is astounding. that for me was really the thing that hooked me. You know, I when I got the opportunity to read for the part and to meet Mbeth, I immediately, I hadn't read the book, so I tried as quickly as I could before meeting her to get a sense of what that memoir was like, and I actually managed to download a couple of chapters of the audiobook as I was on my way to meet Mbeth. And then I got a hold of the screenplay that she had written, and the choice that she made to tell the film story from Bobo's perspective, the child who's experiencing this transition of power, where she's grown up as this privileged white child in this colonial outpost, and she is witnessing that power shift and the effect it has on her family, and also her perspective on this kind of white colonial hangover in Zimbabwe and what it means, and the dynamics between the people of Zimbabwe. From her perspective, just made that story so much more powerful, to see it from the innocence of a child and to expose the dysfunction, the hypocrisy, just that time was really, really interesting. And I thought it was a incredibly powerful choice by Mbeth to tell the story from a child's perspective, her naivety and her relationships with the people around her. Sarah, who's played incredibly by Zikhona Bali, and then her mother, who is holding on to this power and is falling apart, which was then, of course, played by Mbeth Davids. So the source material, Mbeth's screenplay, and then the opportunity to play with Mbeth Davids, who's Hollywood royalty, and her desire to return to South Africa and to Southern Africa and tell a story from here in her directorial debut was just like an opportunity for me that was, I don't know if I'll ever get an opportunity like that again. So I was just thrilled to be a part of it. And it was an incredible experience.
Rob, you play Bobo's dad. Tell us about your role and perhaps some of the characteristics that you were able to somewhat relate with Tim Fuller, and some that were so far-fetched that, wow, you had to do your own research and maybe study other people to get into that character.
Well, first of all, playing Bobo's dad kind of contextualized my role in this film. I'm very much a supporting character, and it's very much Bobo's film. The performance by Lexi Fenter as Bobo is utterly astounding. She is just a natural on screen, and she's getting praise all around the world for her performance, which is just so utterly well deserved. So I came in as an actor, I came into it being very aware that this is not my movie. I am a supporting part. It really is about Mbeth's vision, and about seeing it through Bobo's eyes. But I was incredibly lucky to have a lot of really rich source material to draw from, to use for my interpretation of Tim. The Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight memoir by Alexandra Fuller is her experience as in this family. Tim is her father. She also wrote an incredibly beautiful memoir about her father called Travel Light, Move Fast, which I also read before we started shooting. And for me, it wasn't about trying to imitate this man or to pick up mannerisms or specific details. It was I kind of just let her feeling for him wash over me, and the memoir and the way that she writes about her dad is with an incredible amount of love and warmth and compassion. And so I tried to just let my perform without, getting too method about it. I just tried to let that infuse my interpretation of it, and support what Mbeth's vision was, and support this incredible tale that has been told through this child's eyes. And my biggest, I think the thing I'm most proud of since the movie has started screening is that Mbeth let me know that Alexandra Fuller had really nice things to say about my performance as her dad. So, that's enough for me. I'm like, okay, great.
Job well done. Job well
exactly.
done. Rob, Rob, can I ask that we continue the conversation so we can wrap it up properly, where people can find or can screen this movie? And I've got a few more questions about Lexi, if you don't mind holding the line for us. It's 30 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. We continue the conversation with Rob van Vieren when it comes to all things Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight. Musibudi Makura standing by with sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you so much, Tebogo. Very good afternoon once again from the sports desk. We'll start with football news. So Banyana are 90 minutes away from a place in the final of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament. They have to face off, though, with Nigeria, the most successful team in the history of the competition. And later on tonight in the first semi-final of the ongoing competition at 6 p.m. Central African time out in Casablanca. The coach of the side, Dr. Desiree Ellis, says that at this point, past results don't mean anything as they look to take a bold approach in tonight's encounter.
But I think past results don't really mean anything because it's a different tournament. It's 3 years down the line. It's a different tournament. It's a different coach. Some new players as well. But it's the same Nigeria. The quality that they have. They've always had the quality. So we have to be on top of our game. To make sure that we get over the hurdle. They're the only country that has defended back-to-back on numerous occasions, and it would be big for our country. If we could do that.
Now, Banyana will have had to travel to Casablanca for tonight's Women's Africa Cup of Nations semi-final against Nigeria, who have been based in Casablanca for the duration of this year's competition. Ellis now says changing stadiums does come with a slight disadvantage, but believes that her team will put in the work to win this clash against all the odds.
Look, that's obviously an advantage. Not moving, not being disrupted, playing in the same stadium. But I think the mere fact that it's such a big game and the magnitude of the game is a semi-final, I think that will play a huge role, and mentally it will play a huge role of how important the game is. We recovered, immediately after the game. I had to travel the next day, and then we are for the session. So it's all guns blazing tomorrow.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's head coach Justin Madunga says they understand what rivalry means. After all, this is a fierce rivalry that has come to fruit at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations tournament.
We know what rivalry means between us, and so we're not taking anything for granted. And what has passed has passed. Tomorrow's own is the one that determines what happens. So we're fully ready towards that, and we're set to go.
Right, so let's remind you, kickoff is at 6 p.m. Central African time. Then in the second semi-final, the host side Morocco will face off with Ghana for a place in the final that will be played this coming Saturday. On to swimming news now. South African swimmer Peter Kotsia says to finish the Fusu World University Games with a trio of medals around his neck is a memory that he will live forever. Now, the 21-year-old won 2 gold in the 100-meter backstroke, as well as a gold medal in the 50-meter backstroke event, while also adding a silver in the men's 100-meter freestyle in Berlin, Germany, as evidence of his prowess in the water. So speaking just after the final individual event, the Olympian reflected on being the first athlete to get Team South Africa on the podium.
Super happy to get the win. It was very close and pretty fortunate to get the touch in the end. But yeah, just happy to finish off with a win and excited to see what Team SA does for the rest of the competition. I didn't have any expectations coming into this meet. The competition was very strong. I think it was stronger than I expected, but to get 3 medals in my 3 races is awesome.
And finally in tennis news, 7-time Grand Slam champion Venus Williams has celebrated victory in the last 16 of the women's doubles at the Washington Open after 16 months away from tennis. The 45-year-old, a former world number 1 who accepted a wild card at this year's tournament, has not competed since the Miami Open in March of 2024 and last won at the Cincinnati Open in August of 2023. So Williams and fellow American Hailey Baptiste beat Eugenie Bohart as well as Clevi Nogunu 6-3 and 6-1. Williams, who was playing doubles for the very first time in 3 years, joked she wished that she could partner up with the 23-year-old Baptiste, the world number 50, instead of her sister Serena Williams, the 23-time Grand Slam champion. Venus, who does not have a ranking at the moment, won 14 major titles alongside her sister Serena in women's doubles as the Williams sisters dominated the sport for many years. That's a wrap from the sports desk at this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, our email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibu D. Makure.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
C'est notre invitée du jour, la belle Aïna Mwenze. Elle est là. Certaines l'appellent Boss Lady.
Bonjour Monsieur Jolino.
Parlez-nous un tout petit peu de vous.
Je m'appelle Boss Lady Aïna. Je mets l'accent sur le nom de Boss Lady parce que je mérite cela après le travail fait. Et c'est une rémunération en titre de la personne que je suis devenue aujourd'hui. Épouse et une mère de 4 garçons. Et voilà ce que je peux dire pour l'instant.
Et vous vous êtes lancé dans le business. Comment c'est venu?
En tant que mère et se retrouvant dans les pays étrangers, particulièrement en Afrique du Sud, je me disais que laisser les enfants sur la charge des travailleurs ou d'une bonne, ça serait pas très intéressant. Je me suis dit, bon, je dois essayer de m'organiser et trouver un emploi que je peux faire.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
The Upside with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
37 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time, Buntle Headbush is standing by with business news.
Business news on Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
Thanks, Tebogo. Good afternoon. In our top business story at this hour, Nigeria's economy is 30% bigger than previously estimated. This follows the changing of the way that the country's gross domestic product is calculated, as it now also incorporates new sectors in its calculations. Nigeria's National Bureau of Statistics says that country's GDP now stands at $243 billion in 2024, compared to the International Monetary Fund's $187.6 billion forecast after the base year for its calculation was shifted to 2019. Lanseria Airport, west of Johannesburg, South Africa, has reported 2 flight cancellations as FlySafair's pilot strike enters a second day today. The airport's management says the airline has kept it and its passengers informed about developments regarding flight schedules. Trade union Solidarity has rejected FlySafair's 5.7% wage offer and is demanding 10.5% for the 2025-26 financial year. The two parties are scheduled for a meeting with the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation and Arbitration tomorrow. Christian Forer is Lanseria's CBD executive.
Yes, we've had some impact yesterday especially. We had 3 flights cancelled, but FlySafair has kept us informed in the entire process. So they did advise us that there would be some flight cancellations. What happened is that at the last minute, though, some of their contingency plans didn't happen, and we had some passengers that arrived here that needed to be rebooked. Today we only have 2 cancellations, and that's out of 12 to 15 that we do daily with FlySafair. So that kept us well informed throughout the process. We've been able to manage it, and actually it's only impacted really our Cape Town flights. Our Durban and George destinations have not been impacted at all.
The World Bank and the Mozambican government have pledged to invest in generating an additional 15,000 megawatts of electricity for the region. The announcement comes as energy producer Kahora Basa revealed during a media tour in Tete province that it's facing serious challenges, chief among them aging equipment and outdated infrastructure, which continue to hinder efficient power supply. Mozambique's President Daniel Chapo calls for the World Bank and its partners to invest in the country's energy grid.
As I very well said to the President of the World Bank and other partners of the World Bank Group who can come and invest in this whole energy grid that we are talking about, producing energy through hydroelectric power stations, solar power stations, gas power stations, and also wind power stations.
Almost $4 million has been spent by South Africa to import foot and mouth disease vaccines for this financial year. This was revealed during the Foot and Mouth Disease Indaba, currently underway in Roodeplaat, Pretoria, South Africa. Experts in the farming community, researchers and government officials at the Indaba are currently mulling over ways the country can start manufacturing its own vaccines on a bigger scale and at a reasonable price. Most provinces are currently battling with the cases of the animal disease, and South Africa has to rely on countries such as Botswana for vaccines. Director of Animal Health at the Department of Agriculture, Dr. Mpho Maja, says locally manufactured vaccines would cut costs.
135,000 doses actually that we had received already. We have administered them all. So our vaccination program has been quite comprehensive, and we have managed to administer all the doses of vaccines that we received. A big portion of those went to where the FMD outbreak was most prevalent, which was at the Karan beef site that we visited in Heidelberg.
A tanker chartered by energy major BP has left a port run by newly sanctioned Indian refiner Nayara Energy without loading. According to LSEG shipping data, the vessel Talara was supposed to load 60,000 metric tons of ultra-low sulfur diesel on the 21st of July at Nayara's Vadana port in western India, with the cargo bound for Africa. Nosipo Zuma reports.
The change in loading plan suggests that EU sanctions imposed on Nayara on Friday are disrupting refined product exports from the Russia-backed refiner, one of the two private fuel exporters in India. The Talara did not load the cargo after the EU imposed the sanctions. The sanctions, a package against Russia over its war in Ukraine, dealing further blows to Russia's oil and energy industry. BP subsequently released the ship, making it available for charter within India or the Middle East region.
Now for a look at the indicators this afternoon, $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,530 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 30. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shillings 71, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha and 8. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 rial 57. In Russia, 78 rubles 44. In India, it's 86 rupees 14. China 7 yuan 17, and South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 67 cents. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,387 per ounce and platinum at $1,458 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $68.70 a barrel. And those are your business news. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Bontle Headbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. The Upside, 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time. With Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Only on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Well, it's 44 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Welcome back to The Upside on Channel Africa, the African perspective with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. We are still coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Stream us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. If you have DSTV, it's Channel 802, OpenView Channel 628, and as always, you can download that SABC Plus app so you can travel with us wherever you go. We will be with you at on your Android and your iOS device. It's called the SABC Plus app. Let's continue our conversation with Rob van Vuuren as he steps into the shoes of Tim Fuller on the new film titled Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight. And before the break, Rob was just telling us about his transition and the opportunities that he got to play more dramatic roles and step out of the stereotype of, or the typecast of just being the funny guy. And listen, he's been doing a stellar job, let me tell you. And now let's continue the conversation. Rob, I want to find out about this young character, Lexi Venter, who plays Bobo. Tell us the story of how she was casted, because if I'm not mistaken, it was not through the conventional way of casting her. She seems so natural. She seems so at home. She seems like she's that young girl that runs around as her character is. Tell us about... I am so sorry. Did I get something wrong on the other side? There are so many people talking on the other side. I'm like, I possibly said something wrong. Rob, sorry about that. Tell us some more about Lexi Venter, her role as Bobo, and you working alongside her.
She is phenomenal. She is exactly as you see her on screen. She is that child. I don't know the exact details of how Mbeth tracked her down, but I know that it was an extensive search to find the right person to play that part. And I know she has said that I think there was a point at which she just felt like she couldn't find Boba, and the movie really does rely on Boba. And I think Mbeth felt that we can't find the right person, this movie can't go ahead. And then I think it was through, I might be speaking out of turn, but I think it was through a Facebook group.
You're correct.
Or something like that she was contacted. And Mbeth found this little girl, Lexi Venter. She's like her and her family, and we got to spend time with the family on set. Her little brother was a stand-in as well. He was a extra. He was a dog wrangler. They just live the lifestyle, you know. She's got her own little scrambler motorbike. She's a proper farm girl, and not scared of anything, fearless. And not only that, she just had this natural ability in front of camera to just be present and open to what was happening. And she was expertly guided by Mbeth. It was a real privilege to watch Mbeth direct Alexi and to help craft this incredible performance that this little girl gives. She really does carry the movie, and she does it in an astounding way. I mean, I was blown away from the very first scene that I did with her, and I got to see her on camera. I was just like, wow, this kid's incredible. But not only that, you know, her older sister, Vanessa, played by Anina Reid, also just an incredibly beautiful, understated performance, beautifully guided by Mbeth. And the full cast, you know, the casting was incredible, and Mbeth really was very she was very careful about that, and she just chose the right people, and you could just feel that on set. It was a beautiful experience as an actor, to be amongst that much talent and to see it happening and to see it all being led by this little girl so beautifully. Yeah, incredible.
Very interesting. I like how you are just in awe of your own little daughter, of course, in the film.
She's amazing. Yeah.
That's very sweet. That's very sweet. I want to talk about some of the running themes. I think it's important when we're telling stories to just look at the themes, and so we can get the importance of why we're looking at Rhodesia during the Bush War, as it were. There are a couple of themes running through. As I understand it, race is a big one. Themes around identity and silence are central to the film. So talk to me about how those themes perhaps shape your perspective as an actor and how they are, kind of being run through the film, as it were.
Sure. Well, first of all, as I said earlier, the choice to tell the story through the child's eyes. Obviously the memoir was written by Alexandra Fuller as an adult, and Mbeth's choice then to adapt the screenplay and really shoot the movie from the vantage point of the child was a really interesting choice for me, and it brings those themes of race, identity, colonialism to the forefront in a way that I think it makes it a lot more impactful, and to see all this stuff unfolding from the perspective of this little white privileged girl who doesn't quite understand her place in all of it, hasn't yet fully been indoctrinated by society, and to assume her role within all of this. She's still naive, and she's still trying to understand that. She can see these inequalities in the society around her. She can see that the people that she loves, Sarah in particular, who to her is an authority figure, a place of safety, how that she is treated somehow less in this society. And then she can see her white family, her parents in particular, grappling with the shifting power beneath them, and she's becoming aware of the racial inequality in this country. And she's asking the question, like, am I racist? Are we racist? She's trying to figure out all these things. And you have her mother who's desperately holding onto power and is desperately in denial about her own role in this situation. Immediately going into denial about those kind of questions, and it exposes, I think, the hypocrisy. I think it exposes those inequalities in a very interesting way when it's shown from a child's perspective. So I thought that was really, really fascinating, and I thought it was a different way to tell that story. And certainly an interesting way to adapt the existing source material, the Alexandra Fuller's memoir as a white person growing up in South Africa. And I think what Mbeth did was not only take that source material, but really ask the question of, like, what must it have been like for a little girl to experience this without fully understanding, without having the perspective that the author now has. But as a little kid, you don't have that perspective, or you haven't. Yeah, so it's kind of that. It makes it a lot more shocking and a lot more personal. In a way, you see how people's humanity can be stripped away so carelessly.
Rob, so many people listening in will probably be asking now, where can we watch this film?
Yes, we're doing it. It gets released nationwide in South Africa on Friday. It's a limited cinema release. it's so difficult to, with all the streaming platforms and everything, it's so difficult to make a nice cinema run work these days. But this film has done a really, it's gone old school. Mbeth's opened it at festivals around the world. It's done incredibly well. And on the back of that, she's picked up a distribution deal with Sony Classics International. They're handling distribution worldwide. And we're super lucky that we do get some cinema releases. There's a limited cinema release in the States at the moment. And obviously, it has to be screening in South Africa, so limited run in cinemas from Friday. Please go out and watch this movie. The more people we get in the seats, the more success we'll have, the more films we can make. And please support.
Rob, brilliant. Thank you so much for your time. We can't wait to see it, and we can't wait to see your performance as well. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thanks for having me, guys. What an honor.
The voice of Rob van Vieren there, telling us all about Don't Let's Go to the Dogs Tonight, a film by Alexandra Fuller's best-selling memoir, directed by Mbeth Davids. Rob van Vieren will be taking on the role of Tim Fuller, who will be the father of Bobo. And so Bobo will be the central figure in this movie. Certainly one to look forward to. It's 5 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's take a quick breather. And when we get back, the final hour of The Upside is going to be very exciting. Don't go anywhere.
Real with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Nompumelelo Ngubeni. Tame Ngubeni talks money, Africa in business, 4 till 5 p.m. 5 till 6. We put on a little bit more color. Vue d'Afrique with Joel Moteba. We go to Eastern Central Africa and find Darubinia Africa with I Am Shakif. Madapiri gives us some life. Zochitika, 7 till 8 p.m. Maria Mokumalo comes in 8 till 9. We get some useful knowledge. Kalodiscopia. 9 till 10. We take a look in Africa and beyond. Africa World Hour with Sipiso Makwetla. And we close it up with some love. The Hotlines with Shailen Dikumana. 10 till 12 p.m. on Channel Africa. Across borders, across time zones. On air, online. This is Channel Africa.
Hey guys, so it's about 30 minutes before we have to go onto the show and go live, and we're just having our own little briefing session with the team. We've got our producer in the background, Unsako. We've got my amazing co-host Mmatsheko Mosito.
Also, I'm not amazing.
We've got Unsako that side, and we just just getting our ducks in a row for the show. Once we go live, there's no turning back. Make mistakes, we make them on air, but we try our best to prepare and ensure that we don't do that when we go on. And when we do, and we laugh about it, guys, we're only human. But this is how it looks like when we're just getting ready for the show. Enjoy. Here we go. Mix. Let's go. Come on. Let the creative juices flow.
The tree, what's at the bottom of it?
The root.
Thank you. If I'm not excited, like I'm just sitting around, I have nothing to do.
Bored.
Thank you. If it's not mist, it's mist. If it's not mist in the morning, you can't see the road. It's like a cloud.
Bright and early in the morning.
Like
sometimes your brain experiences.
It rhymes with dog.
Fog.
Thank you. I don't know this one.
This one, guys. Hi, guys. Come on.
What is this? When I'm doing this, thank
shooting.
you. Yeah. No. Yeah. You're so
funny.
Thank you.
Okay, it's 2 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to The Upside on Channel Africa, The African Perspective with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Tell you what, we have about a minute to go.
Mm-hmm.
All right? I was going to say share what caught your eye, but I think better we do it in the final hour. We'll do it in the final hour so that you can celebrate this phenomenal human being properly in this hour of the upside, or in the final hour of the upside. We get into conversation with the director of this theater production called Breakfast with Mugabe. What are you hoping to hear or pick up from that particular production? We've always heard Mugabe as a dictator. Do you think that's what's going to be on display here with this theater production?
I like that question. Because people are like onions. You know, there's layers to peel with every person. And also, you may be an angel in one person's story, but you'll always be a villain in another.
Ooh.
You're not going to be perfect with everyone. So he must have been an angel in somebody's life. And we're going to find out about that possibly in the next hour. It's 3 p.m. on the dot. Onele Nzinzi has the latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko. Looking at your top stories, terrorism-related charges against renowned Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi dropped, and Greece introduces emergency measures to cope with the heat wave. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Terrorism-related charges against renowned Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi have been dropped. However, Mwangi will now face prosecution for possession of ammunition without a valid firearm certificate. Mwangi was dramatically arrested on Saturday at his home and was initially accused by the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, of facilitating terrorist activities linked to the June 25, 2025 protests. The arrest triggered widespread public attention, with authorities claiming to have recovered items that raise national security concerns. A member of Kenya's parliament, Maxwell D. Kariuku, explains.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions dropped the terrorism charges because of the outcry. Everybody was up in arms. The people can see what the government is up to. And after so much noise, they decided to reduce the charges. Now, there is a group of protesters that were arrested after the July 7th protest. Majority of them are young people, what we call the Gen Z. Now, those boys and girls, literally kids on that one, and I don't think they will find something, but I think it's a tactic to try and intimidate Kenyans whenever they want to rise and criticize the government.
South Africa's newly appointed Minister of Higher Education and Training, Buti Manamela, and his deputy, Nomusa Dube-Ncube, will be sworn in this afternoon. Manamela replaces the former minister, Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane, who was axed yesterday. President Cyril Ramaphosa dismissed Nkabane after mounting pressure to remove her. Opposition parties had accused Nkabane of lying to Parliament about the appointment of the controversial panel of appoint sector education and training authorities boards. Dr. Robert Martin in South Africa says more education in broader politics, rather than just party politics, will result in the empowerment of citizens. Martin was the first candidate to take this stand on the second day of interviews to fill 3 positions for the IEC Commissioner conducted by the Office of the Chief Justice. He holds a PhD in entrepreneurship and has, amongst other positions, served as the former Deputy Vice-Chancellor of the University of Venda. He lists, amongst other skills, strategic and general management in both private and public sector. Martin says the IEC must build the confidence of voters.
If I vote for the wrong person, the wrong party, I then sit with the consequence. So that people also understand I might have made a mistake this time around, so let me correct it the next time. But they can only do so if they understand fully what power they have, and that the power doesn't necessarily lies in those that provide me with a T-shirt or a grocery bag, that it is me holding them accountable, because it is me that has passed my vote to whoever I wanted to give it.
The British government has said corrupt foreign officials, including police who profit from people smuggling, will have their UK assets frozen as part of an intensified effort to stem illegal migration. The Foreign Secretary David Lammy said border guards who provided fake documents would be amongst those targeted, as would others involved in trafficking activities.
We will go after the smugglers. We will go after their enablers. We will go after those who sell engines. We will go after those who smuggle people. We will bear down on them. And of course it will have effect when we're talking about a 10 billion industry. Of course it can have effect if we freeze their accounts and issue travel bans.
Lastly, Greece has introduced emergency measures to cope with the heat wave, which has hit much of southern Europe. Outdoor work has been stopped in the afternoon and public air-conditioned rooms have been opened as temperatures rise to above 40 degrees Celsius. Parts of the Balkans has also been hit. Now, recapping on your top stories, terrorism-related charges against renowned Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi have been dropped. His arrest triggered widespread public attention, with authorities claiming to have recovered items that raise national security concern. Now, for any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nsinsi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
It is 6 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside on Channel Africa, the African Perspective with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. We're coming to you live from the Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Stream us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. Don't forget to download that SABC Plus app so you can take us with you wherever you go, anywhere around the world on your Android or your iOS device. Coming up in this hour of the show, we get into conversations with the director and one of the actors on the theatre production at the Market Theatre called Breakfast with Mugabe. And then later on in the show, we celebrate Connie Chume. You know her as my baby. Oh, my baby.
My baby.
Oh, my baby.
That is so endearing.
Right. They're honoring her through a film festival that took place at the Sibikwe
Arts Center.
We'll be talking all things Connie Chume Film Festival in this hour. But before we get into those conversations, quickly, what caught your eye? What caught your eye, ma'am?
What caught my eye? Okay, so I wanted to really just spotlight the work of Danny Glover. Danny Glover is an American actor, a top Black American actor. And he's been in countless films, including The Color Purple, that is written by Alice Walker.
Yes.
He was in Beloved with Oprah Winfrey in the year 1998. He was in Lethal Weapon 1, 2, and 3. Okay, with Mel Gibson.
Yep.
So he really is a fine actor. But what is really interesting is that the activism work actually came before the acting. So when we see Danny Glover back in the day fighting for apartheid, standing next to Nelson Mandela, talking about civil rights movement issues in the States, and all of that activism work, that actually came before the acting back in the day. So I think that's a very interesting thing. But also, just noting his acting, noting his advocacy work, his political work, fighting against apartheid, as I'd mentioned. I think it's so beautiful to watch how he's had impact on the African continent, because much of his artistic work and artistic expressions were very Pan-Africanesque. In their delivery, the Danny Glovers of this world, the Sidney Poitiers of this world, that generation of actors. Well, I mean, they were not the same generation, but you get what I mean. That kind of craft and that bar that was raised by those actors has really filtered onto the African continent in the most amazing ways. I watch a lot of the younger generation of South African actors in particular and see that they actually really borrowed from craftsmen like Danny Glover. So happy birthday to Danny Glover, born on this day, the 22nd of July. He turns 78 this year. So he is in his golden years. 78 years young, yes. You honestly wouldn't tell. Like he's thriving, he's happy in his golden years. I think also if you are just happy and fulfilled and joyful and learn from your mistakes and give the apology and give the hug and give the flowers and receive all of that in return, I mean, that's just the perfect life for me.
Happy birthday to Danny Glover, and happy birthday to you if you're celebrating your birthday today on the 22nd of July. It's 10 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Let's take a quick breather and listen to some music. When we get back, we talk all things breakfast with Mugabe.
Vue d'Afrique avec Joël Mouteba.
Cette peur d'un point de non-retour nucléaire suffit-elle selon vous à légitimer une telle offensive, Monsieur Talazi?
Absolument pas du tout. Cela fait plus de 30 ans que l'Israël crie haut et fort sur les toits, où il veut se faire entendre que l'Iran serait à 1 an pour obtenir l'arme nucléaire. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 6 mois. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 2 semaines pour obtenir son arme nucléaire. Et curieusement, jusqu'à ce jour, il n'y a toujours aucune preuve que l'Iran a obtenu cette arme nucléaire, en dépit des déclarations d'Israël et de certaines puissances parfois.
Vue d'Afrique, du lundi au vendredi de 15h à 16h, temps universel.
The Upside, live and real. The Upside, live and real.
Mm. 18 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Forgive our trespasses. Mmatsheko, please forgive our trespasses. By Nandi by 808 and Siga RSA featuring Damola. What a banger. What a song.
Totally.
Tell you what, play this at any party, any club, any gathering. I don't care who you are, how old you are. You're going to nod and move something. Either your feet stomping, you're nodding, something is moving when that song plays. What a beautiful song it is. On the Upside, Channel Africa, The African Perspective with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mmatsheko Mosito. Let's get into a very important conversation about the last days of rulership of who many considered, so shall we say, a dictator, Robert Mugabe. theatre production titled Breakfast with Mugabe. I can't wait to hear what it's all about, actually. Is it going to be the stereotypes that we know him or have known him for? Or are we going to see a different side to Robert Mugabe? What do you think?
Listen, I am very excited to be in conversation with Farai. He's going to be on the line with us. So the thing is, South Africa is hosting a National Arts Festival, okay? And there are a lot of bold stories that are being told and other artistic disciplines through this particular festival. But today we are going to be looking at Breakfast with Mugabe as directed by the 2025 Standard Bank Young Artist for Theatre, Calvin Ratladi, and explores a very interesting story. We're going to look at the psychological unraveling of a former Zimbabwean president, Robert Mugabe. So let's do this. Let's take a break very quickly, and then we're going to return with conversation.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
Ok. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
Listen, if you're like us and you are enjoying being an African in this contemporary time, then listen, it's a great time to be alive, okay? Africans are taking their stories back. We are telling the story from our African perspective. And listen, no better people to do it than us telling our own stories. So based on the idea that Mugabe may have once sought therapy, there's a play that is now on the stage, okay? And it's an interesting look at the deeply human encounter between the late leader and a white psychiatrist, the late leader of Zimbabwe, that being Robert Mugabe, and a white psychiatrist. The result, a very tense, revealing conversation that explores power, trauma, and legacy in post-colonial Africa. There is a star-studded cast, might I add. There's Themba Daba as Mugabe himself. There's Khonze Ntshechang. There is Grace as Grace Mugabe. There is other wonderful people that our guest is going to tell us about. So without any further ado, we welcome on the upside. We've got Calvin Ratladi joining us, as well as Farai Chigundu, who are going to tell us a little bit more about this wonderful stage production. Welcome to the both of you. Welcome to Channel Africa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I think perhaps let me start with you, Calvin. There is a very bold and very nuanced idea around Mugabe when I read a little bit of the synopsis of what the story is about. So psychology, Mugabe, therapist or psychiatrist, as I understand it. Please talk to us about that particular triangle, if I could call it that.
Okay. Thank you very much for hosting us for this conversation. What we are exploring here in this play, Breakfast with Mugabe, which is different from the European lands, was to look into it more as much as from a psychiatric perspective, but also to touch the nuances of being African and spiritual and be called into leadership.
You know what? I need to ask, I'm going to throw this one to you, Kelvin. This book or this theatre production is based off the book by Fraser Grace titled Breakfast with Mugabe. It was released in 2005. Why did you feel that it was important to retell the story of Mugabe now in 2025?
Interestingly enough, I've been interested in telling this story for a while, but only now the time seemed to have been right and everything just aligned. I think we're dealing in a time where our leaders, global leaders, to be specific, are dealing with a lot of traumas, memory, and also understanding what leadership and humanity is.
Yeah.
And Breakfast with Mugabe is that kind of story that unfortunately looks into one of the leaders, but also it's a global commentary on leaders in general.
On leaders in general, I like that. I like that perspective.
Yes.
Farah, let's talk to you as one of the characters in this particular space, and of course, stepping into this must be very loaded and emotional for you. So, preps for a character of this nature. Talk to us about how you prepared, and not just in your sort of isolation, but how you prepared considering the other characters and the other people that are going to be on stage with you, because theatre is a very different ball game. It's not like television. You actually have to come onto the stage with energy and understand that you're feeding off of each other. So preparation for that must have been very interesting.
Yes, I would like to thank Calvin, for giving me the opportunity to play the role. I, being a Zimbabwean, I come from a background of, I think, enough depth in terms of politics.
Yeah.
My own father went to war, and we were told stories back in the day, like this is how we got our independence and stuff like that. So when it comes to leadership, I've been following just the interest of where we are coming from and where we are going. It has always been a part of me, and I was excited to be part of this production in that sense. So preparation for me is like I've been preparing for years for something like this to come my way. So I was like, it'll be good if I played something which is close to home.
Kelvin,
I can't say.
Oh, so sorry about that, Farai. Kelvin, let's talk about what the audience can expect. I know we are pressed for time, unfortunately. What can the audience expect from this production? We've said it earlier, how we have a specific narrative, or the Western culture, media has had a specific narrative about who Mugabe was. What can we expect to see on stage that may counter these narratives that were shared on media platforms?
I think more than any other thing, what they are going to experience and get to be challenged around is seeing Mugabe not only as the revered leader, but also as a man who went through a lot of experiences, and that made him to be who we now get to know as Mugabe. So I think more than any other thing is to not look at Mugabe from just that revered leader lens, but also understand his psychology and where he was in taking certain decisions.
This sounds amazing. I think for anyone that really is interested in Southern African leadership and history, and how, and also, Calvin, as you say, just the spiritual elements of storytelling, I think it's very interesting. But from your perspective as an actor, Farai, please just give us just a few anecdotes, around just your personal learnings through playing Mugabe, because this is really... Possibly. Look, I don't know much about your catalog in terms of acting, but this must be one of the most interesting characters you've played. So talk to us about just some of the things that you've learned that maybe you can leave with us as we're about to check it out.
Okay. Basically, it's telling the story. It's inspired by true events as the writer wrote it. And just incorporating that and trusting my director, who's Calvin, with elements like that. I'm sure he explained like there was enough research which was done around it. It was easy for me to tackle that and bring it on stage and also the feel of being home, and as a Zimbabwean, you want to tell it the right way. Like you just stressed in the beginning, like telling our own stories our own way in those particular details contributed so much. So you are coming to see something which is real. I can say that. It is bringing reality to life, which is something that I feel like, I was super comfortable in doing. You can also learn our culture in terms of what we do behind the scenes, or what he did behind the scenes, who he consulted, what he believed in as a man. It's something that you are going to also notice and take home with that.
And Kelvin, as we wrap the conversation up, where can people access the theatre, the production, the dates, and where can they buy tickets?
Okay. We opened on the 16th of July and we are running till the 10th of August. So the tickets can be purchased on web tickets. And we are doing well so far. So I'd encourage that people really get their tickets so that they avoid being disappointed at the later stage.
Oh, I love that. Kelvin and Farai, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We can't wait to see this production on stage, Breakfast with Mugabe. It's 30 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the final sports with Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Tebogo. Good afternoon once again from the Sports Day. So Kenya held trials for the World Athletics Championships today under a cloud of renewed doping concerns after women's marathon record holder Ruth Cheptegei was provisionally suspended just last week. So the runner tested positive for the banned Duratic hydrochlorothiazide on the 14th of March, according to the Athletics Integrity Unit. It now threatens to destroy a career that has seen her win the 2019 World Marathon title in Doha, and also set the marathon world record in Chicago just last year in 2 hours, 9 minutes and 56 seconds, making her the first woman to run the distance under 2 hours and 10 minutes. So her case has also cast a shadow over Kenya's preparation for the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo later on this year from the 13th until the 25th of September. So few in the Kenyan sports community have also been willing to talk about the case, and one athlete who said she did not want to be named said that this has increased the suspicion that it's still a big issue in Kenya. So Kenya, by the way, has invested massively to clean up its image after a string of doping scandals around the 2016 Rio Olympic Games that led to be declared non-compliant by the World Anti-Doping Agency. So nearly 130 Kenyan athletes, mainly long-distance runners, have been sanctioned for drugs offences since 2017, and Kenya has also put in place $25 million, a 5-year program to attempt to combat the doping problem in the country. On to football news now. Morocco as well as Ghana are set to collide under the lights at the Prince Moulay Abdallah Stadium in Rabat tonight in the second semi-final of the 2024 Africa Women's Cup of Nations tournament. With a place in the final at stake, both teams head into the clash with different narratives but identical goals. For Morocco, it's a dream of a second consecutive final on home soil, while for Ghana, it's a chance to re-establish themselves as African giants after years of falling short. Now, the host nation, Morocco, have enjoyed an unbeaten run into the last 4, showing technical fluidity as well as control against their respective opponents. After an entertaining 2-2 draw with Zambia, they dispatched the Democratic Republic of Congo 4-2. Then they defeated Senegal by 1-0, and then overcame Mali by 3-1 in the quarterfinals to book a slot in the semi-finals. Ghana's route, meanwhile, to the semi-finals has been far less than straightforward. There was a 2-0 defeat in the opening match of this year's competition to South Africa that followed a 1-0 draw against Mali. The Black Queens then came alive with a 4-1 victory over Tanzania before then grinding out a goalless draw with Algeria and then holding the nerve to win a penalty shootout 4-2 in the quarterfinals. So kick-off tonight is at 9 p.m. Central African time, where Morocco will face off with Ghana in the semi-finals of this competition. Well, the Confederation of African Football General Secretary Vernon Mosonga Omba has given preparations for the upcoming CHAN tournament, co-hosted in Kenya, Tanzania as well as Uganda, a thumbs up, with about 2 weeks to go until the tournament is set to kick off. Mosonga Omba is visiting Kenya as well as Tanzania to meet with local organising committees for the kick-off on the 2nd of August at the Benjamin Mkapa Stadium. Now, Nairobi's Kasarani Stadium, that has undergone major renovations thanks to the investment from the Kenyan government, will host the final match on this year's competition on the 30th of August. In addition to that, to the closing ceremony at the Kasarani Stadium, Kenya is also set to host all of the Group A matches, as both at the Kasarani as well as the Nyayo National Stadiums. So Mosonga Omba is set to visit Tanzania today as he concludes his trip, of course, of the co-hosting nations for this year's CHAN tournament. In swimming news now, South African swimmer Peter Kotsia says to finish the FISU World University Games with a trio of medals around his neck is a memory that will live forever. The 21-year-old won 2 gold medals in the 100-meter backstroke as well as a 200-meter backstroke event respectively, and also adding a silver to the 100-meter freestyle event in Berlin, Germany, as evidence of his prowess in the water. Speaking just after the final individual event, the Olympian also reflected on being the first athlete to get onto the podium for Team South Africa.
Super happy to get the win. It was very close and pretty fortunate to get the touch in the end. But yeah, just happy to finish off with a win and excited to see what Team SA does for the rest of the competition. I didn't have any expectations coming into this meet. The competition was very strong. I think it was stronger than I expected, but yeah, to get 3 medals in my 3 races is awesome.
Kotsia also adds that the support in Berlin has contributed to his success at the FISU Games throughout the course of this week.
I've been looking at the social media posts and comments and everything, and it's just so nice to see how they're supporting us back home. And also my team has been awesome. My roommate Cam, he's lost his voice, so it's just been crazy support, and I see all the support online as well. So really thank you to everyone from South Africa and from the whole continent. We do this to make you proud. And
so for any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Hawa wa Afrika Kusini wenye asili ya kizungu ambao wamepewa ukimbizi huko nchini Marekani. Je, nini chanzo cha wao kuomba ukimbizi nchini Marekani?
Wenyewe wajaomba ukimbizi. Kuna shirika fulani inaitwa AfriForum, shirika mbili za wazungu ambao wanatetea haki ya wazungu hapa, AfriForum na Solidarity. Hao walienda Marekani kufanya kampeni kusema kwamba wazungu wananyanyaswa hapa Afrika Kusini, na walivyofanya hiyo kampeni, serikali iweze kuwafuatilia kujua nini ambacho mnasema kwamba mnanyanyaswa.
Kuna namna ya wao kwamba wamepoteza uraia wa Afrika Kusini, na je, endapo Trump akamaliza muda wake madarakani, uhalali wao wa kuishi nchini Marekani ukoje?
Itakuwa vigumu, kifupi itakuwa vigumu wenyewe kupoteza uraia wao.
Darubini ya Afrika 11 kamili hadi 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
38 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time, and for the very last time on the upside this afternoon, let's get the business news with Buntle Hedbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thanks, Tebogo. Good afternoon. In our top story in this final news bulletin, Nigeria's economy is 30% bigger than previously estimated. This follows a changing of the way that the country's gross domestic product is calculated, as it now also incorporates new sectors in its calculations. Nigeria's National Bureau of Statistics says the country's GDP now stands at $243 billion in 2024, compared to the International Monetary Fund's $187 $1.6 billion forecast after the base year for its calculation was shifted to 2019. The latest money stress tracker by South African debt management company Debtbusters has once again revealed that women continue to bear the brunt of financial anxiety. According to Debtbusters, almost 3 out of 4 female respondents reported suffering from financial stress. The 4th annual survey polled over 27,000 respondents during May and June this year. Executive head for Debtbusters, Benay Sega, says that every year women have shown higher levels of financial anxiety compared with men.
And I think that has a lot to do with the role that women, the pivotal role that women play in our society, but also the fact that they take on the burden for an entire household often as primary caregivers, professionals earning the money, looking after everyone in the household, as mothers, as sisters, as daughters. It's a lot to take on, worrying about a lot of people.
Lanseria Airport, west of Johannesburg, South Africa, has reported 2 flight cancellations as FlySafe's pilot strike enters a second day today. The airport's management says the airline has kept it and its passengers informed about developments regarding flight schedules. Trade union Solidarity has rejected FlySafe's 5.7% wage offer and is demanding 10.5% for the 2025-26 financial year. The two parties are scheduled for a meeting with the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation and Arbitration tomorrow. Christian Farr is Lanseria CBD executive.
Yes, we've had some impact yesterday especially. We had 3 flights cancelled, but FlySafe has kept us informed in the entire process. So they did advise us that there would be some flight cancellations. What happened is that at the last minute, though, some of their contingency plans didn't happen, and we had some passengers that arrived here that needed to be rebooked. Today we only have 2 cancellations, and that's out of 12 to 15 that we do daily with FlySafe. So they've kept us well informed throughout the process. We've been able to manage it, and actually it's only impacted really our Cape Town flights. Our Durban and George destinations have not been impacted at all.
Almost $4 million has been spent by South Africa to import foot and mouth disease vaccines for this financial year. This was revealed during the Foot and Mouth Disease Indaba, currently underway in Roodeplaat, Pretoria, South Africa. Experts in the farming community, researchers and government officials at the Indaba are currently mulling over ways the country can start manufacturing its own vaccines on a bigger scale and at a reasonable price. Most provinces are currently battling with the cases of the animal disease, and South Africa has had to rely on countries such as Botswana for vaccines. Director of Animal Health at the Department of Agriculture, Dr. Mpho Maja, says locally manufactured vaccines would cut costs.
135,000 doses actually that we had received already. We have administered them all. So our vaccination program has been quite comprehensive, and we have managed to administer all the doses of vaccines that we received. A big portion of those went to where the FMD outbreak was most prevalent, which was at the Karan beef site that we visited in Heidelberg.
A Japanese power company says it will conduct a geological survey in preparation for a new nuclear reactor. The decision marks Japan's first concrete step towards building a new nuclear reactor since the Great East Japan earthquake in 2011, which triggered a meltdown at its Fukushima power plant, leading it to be shut down. The BBC's Mickey Bristow reports.
The earthquake caused a tsunami that led to a meltdown at the Fukushima nuclear facility, turning Japan off atomic power. But the government has now realised it will have to go back to nuclear to meet the growing demand for energy and its climate change commitments. Kansai Electric Power wants to construct a reactor at the Mihama facility and will begin surveying the proposed site. It says it wants to build a reactor that's more resilient to natural disasters, but knows it will have to persuade a sceptical public.
And now for a look at the indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,530 naira. In Botswana, it's 13.30. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shillings 71. And in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha and 8. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 rial 57. Russia, 78 rubles 44. India it's 86 rupees 14. China 7 yuan 17, and South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 67 cents. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,387 and platinum at $1,458 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $68.70 a barrel. And those are your business news this afternoon. I'll be back with the indicators a bit later. For any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Bontle Headbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
In recent weeks, East Africa has seen a disturbing rise in human rights violations. In Kenya, digital activist Rose Njeri was arrested under the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act after creating a tool for citizens to oppose the Finance Bill 2025. Meanwhile, in Tanzania, Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi and Ugandan lawyer Agatha Atuhaire reported being detained, tortured, and sexually assaulted by security officers.
East Africa needs a reset. We need to get back East Africa to where the founding fathers are. You know, when President Nyerere and his colleagues, Jomo Kenyatta and the Ugandan counterparts fought for independence. They fought for independence to get Africans out of poverty, to get Africans out of slavery. The leaders who took up power have since gotten into regression.
Neto Agostino, co-leader of the United Green Movement Party.
The Upside, live and real on Rise and Shine.
It is 15 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African time. Let's get into a conversation about a woman who really lit up our screens, Connie Chume. You remember her on Black Panther? She was there. But before that, we know her, was it on Rhythm City, where we famously heard My Baby.
Prakop's
wife. Prakop's wife. And before that, I remember her on Scoot is Nice, Stumo. She was a love interest at the time. She was very young. Very, very, very young. She was more than an actress. She was a force. Connie Chume didn't just light up our screens. She lit the way for generations of African storytellers. And now her legacy continues in a powerful, living form through the inaugural Connie Chume International Youth Film Festival. It was held at the Sibikwa Arts Center in Benoni this past weekend, if I'm not mistaken, from the 18th of July to the 20th of July. The festival had become a platform for youth empowerment, storytelling, and cinematic excellence. With screenings, workshops, awards, and cultural exchange, it's a festival rooted in purpose. Joining us is Teresa Vivian Moyler, chairperson of the festival, to reflect on Connie's legacy and unpack how this event is building the future she dreamed of. Teresa, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside.
Thank you so much for inviting me to talk about the Connie Chume Student Film Festival that we just held over the past weekend. I am excited that I'm here today to share with you how it unfolded and the impact, especially on our youth.
What was the inception point, Teresa, when we look at the birth of this international film festival? Was it an idea that Connie herself brought to the attention of people before her passing, or was this something that someone else came up with in honor of her?
This is one of the programs and ideas that she had even before she passed on. You know, part of what she wanted to do was that, you know, she was very specific about how we should keep her legacy alive. And in terms of that, you know, I remember in March 2024, we had a strategic workshop, and it was at this strategic workshop that a lot of the ideas about the festival, we have a cultural exchange program for New Orleans, you know, which happened in 2023, workshopping young people, giving mentorship to creatives and so on, were actually just put on the table to say, these are the things that she wanted us to do, whether she is there or not. And this is in her own words, you know, she put it to say, the Konijume Foundation continues, whether or not I am still here. So in a sense, as a board for the Konijume Foundation, we really feel that she actually gave us the mandate to carry on and keep her legacy alive. And, you know, in keeping the legacy alive, doing programs that actually speak to the person that she was, you know. I mean, when one looks at the festival, for instance, it speaks to the 47 years of storytelling that she did, you know, during her acting career, starting with theater, going on to television, and then going on to cinema. So it's really part of the storytelling that she was passionate about, to say, let the African child be given a platform and an opportunity to tell their story in their own narrative. So this is essentially what the festival was all about. So it's an idea that was born over the years. You know, even though the Konijume Foundation was registered in 2020, she started her philanthropic work more than 28 years ago, whereby she started to mentor, give guidance to the creatives who were coming into the environment. And even as they started to develop and thrive within the industry, she continued to walk the journey with them. So that started more than 28 years ago, and she kept on asking the question, what more can I do as Konijume? What more can the Konijume Foundation do, you know, in terms of amplifying the voices of the young people? Because, you know, in terms of the work that we do, it's mainly about young people. It's mainly about amplifying the voices of the young people and the marginalized. So this is a dream that she had. You know, she shared so many things with us at that strategic planning, which we have documented to say, in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term. These are some of the things that we'll be doing as the foundation as part of keeping the legacy alive.
Wonderful. We are in conversation with Teresa Vivian Moila, and we really are paying tribute to the life of Meg Konijume, who was just an iconic actress from South Africa. But of course, she put us on the international stage when she was on Black Panther several years ago. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Hawa wa Afrika Kusini wenye asili ya kizungu ambao wamepewa ukimbizi huko nchini Marekani. Je, nini chanzo cha wao kuomba ukimbizi nchini Marekani?
Wenyewe hawajaomba ukimbizi. Kuna shirika fulani inaitwa AfriForum, shirika mbili za wazungu ambao wanatetea haki ya wazungu hapa, AfriForum na Solidarity. Hao walienda Marekani kufanya kampeni kusema kwamba wazungu wananyanyaswa hapa Afrika Kusini, na walivyofanya hiyo kampeni, serikali iweze kuwafuatilia kujua nini ambacho mnasema kwamba mnanyanyaswa.
Kuna namna ya wao kwamba wamepoteza uraia wa Afrika Kusini, na je, endapo Trump akamaliza muda wake madarakani, uhalali wao wa kuishi nchini Marekani ukoje?
Itakuwa vigumu, kifupi itakuwa vigumu wenyewe kupoteza uraia wao.
Darubini ya Afrika 11 kamili hadi 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
If it's news and current affairs, leading opinions, and thought leaders that get your groove, this is your home, The Upside.
Welcome back. This is us, of course, in conversation with the chairperson for the Konichume Film Festival, Meteriza Vivian Moila. And we're talking about the fact that a very important arts center in the Far East Rand, known as Sibigwa Arts Center in Benoni, well, they hosted a very, very important international youth festival in honor of Konichume. Mama, I want to ask about I want us to stay on the youth, because I get that that's very central to the work that you do at the foundation, because you've mentioned it several times. I think about Mekoni's participation in Black Panther, which obviously put us on a global stage as South Africa and Africa as a whole. She worked with a lot of young people there, and she spoke about how she groomed young talent there. One of her other lauded work was when she was on the series Gomorrah, worked with another set of amazing young people. So talk to me about just some of the things that were important to her in terms of you having made the decision to partner with Sibigwa Arts Center as the perfect venue to host this international festival.
Mama Connie had a link with the Sibigwa Arts Center, because she also performed at Sibigwa Arts Center at some stage, in terms of the theater work that she was doing. And she was also a board member of the Sibigwa Arts Center. I mean, she was just this person who was very passionate in terms of quite a lot of things, because besides being an actress, she was a businesswoman, she was a philanthropist, and her availing herself and her time to say, here I am willing to serve as a board member, says a lot about her. And at the same time, she was running her foundation and also trying to ensure that, the foundation really does impactful programs that impact on our beneficiaries. So there is that link, and it's also based in the city of Ekurhuleni. This is the city where she spent the last years of her life, because her home was there. I mean, the office is also in the city of Ekurhuleni. And also just to mention that one of the things that the city of Ekurhuleni did was to honor her, as one of the citizens of the city. And when she passed on, the city of Ekurhuleni was the first to come on board to say, we would like to accord her a state funeral, category 3. And then it converted to a provincial funeral, which is a category 2. So she had these links, and and also the link with Sibigwa Arts Theatre. That's where young people learn to hone their skills. Just to give an example, one of the speakers that we had at the festival, Tandeka, who is a casting director, an actress, and a host of other things, actually introduced herself by saying, 17 years ago, I stood on the stage in Sibigwa Arts Center as part of the theater performance Animal Farm with Begi Mkwane and other actors. So it actually shows, the critical role that Sibikwa Arts Center has played, in terms of promoting the creative industry, and also in terms of just creating, opportunities for young people. One of the things that I can tell you is that since we were in and out of Sibikwa Arts Center as the Konichume Foundation, the one thing that was very glaring is the amount of young people who are interns at the Sibikwa Arts Center, young people who are doing, a host of things within the Sibikwa Arts Center. Is a hub of activity. So for us, it's also about taking young people to where they can really connect with the creative industry. They can see that it is possible for one to tell or narrate one story. For instance, when we look at the films that were being showcased, most of them were about young people telling their story, to say, this is my story. The Lobolo story, for instance, the Lobolo movie. It's about a young woman.
Teresa, sorry, so sorry to interrupt you. We have run out of time for this conversation, but thank you so much for continuing the legacy of Konichume through the foundation and through the International Youth Film Festival. Thank you so much for your time. We now have to hand over to Tami Ngubeni. I know we've got like a few seconds, but what's coming up on African Business?
We literally do, but what an intriguing conversation that was, Mum. Konichume is certainly worthy of all the accolades in the foundation. Right. Here's what we are going to be covering on Africa in Business today. Zambia's government has signed an agreement that literally paves the way for the development of a $1.1 billion crude oil refinery. This is massive for the country. Not only will it be able to supply its own domestic needs, but there'll be enough for export as well. So we'll be looking into that, as well as into a new report titled Ties to Tehran, South Africa's democracy and its relations with Iran. So we'll be looking at how that relationship impacts not only the business of the country, but diplomatic relations as well. And we also have our SME feature.
All right. Sounds exciting as always. The, almost said the Wednesday edition. The Tuesday edition.
It actually does feel like Wednesday.
Why?
I was walking down the passage and I was thinking, is it Wednesday or is it Thursday?
The Tuesday edition of Africa in Business with Tami Ngubeni, just after the 4 p.m. news bulletin. It was wonderful to spend the afternoon with you. See you again tomorrow. Cheers.
It is a very good afternoon to you, Eswatini. Good afternoon to you, Senegal, Ghana, Egypt. Good afternoon to you, Somalia. Good afternoon, Ethiopia, Tanzania. Good afternoon, Africa. Welcome to Africa in Business on Channel Africa. I'm Tami Ngubeni. This is where you get the African perspective. It's where we meet to look at the latest in news, sport and business. We start off this afternoon with the latest local, continental and international news with Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tami. Looking at your top stories, the new Minister of Education and Training in South Africa has been officially installed, and the Israeli military's intense air and ground offensive is continuing in Gaza. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. South Africa's newly appointed Minister of Higher Education and Training, Buti Manamela, and his deputy Nomusa Dube-Ncube have been sworn in. Manamela replaced political activists in Kenya